Sometimes it actually feels like we are going a bit crazy. Not in a cinematic way, just the amount of thinking, the intensity, the swings, the way we can sit still, but our mind is running 10 layers deep, replaying, comparing, or predicting, just building whole futures. And so we try to calm it and fix it and understand it, and it just keeps going in waves. And at some point, we start wondering if something's wrong with us because other people don't seem to be this loud inside. So I don't know if any of you weirdos need to hear this today, but nothing's wrong. You're just massively underused. And that's not a compliment. That's the problem. Because all that intensity you are experiencing, it's not disappearing. It's just being burned inside your head instead of in your life. And people who think they are crazy sometimes are often very imaginative and therefore innovative. The imaginative people aren't just thinking faster, they are on a completely different track. While everyone's staring at what's obvious, they're often already connecting dots that don't even look like dots yet. They see patterns early, way before there is any proof. So yeah, sometimes they look off until they don't. They are the disruptors, the rule benders, the ones who don't just play the game. They change it. They don't improve what's there. They build something else entirely. They are the originators, the ones pulling ideas out of nowhere and somehow making them real. Honestly, without them, everything just stays the same, mostly functional and slightly dead. So they are the reason anything actually moves. But then sometimes, the same imaginative people, they are taking something that could move things, create things, and break things open, and they are using it to sit there and think about themselves. And that's why it feels like pressure. That innovative, disruptive energy has nowhere to go. And instead of noticing that, we make up a different story. We decide we are too emotional or too much or too complicated, like that explains it. So look at what we actually do, not what we say we do. We think about posting something or doing that thing we actually want to do. We feel the energy. We even know what we'd say. And then we start adjusting it in our head. We imagine how it lands, how people see us, whether it's right, whether it's too raw, whether it fits the version of us that we are trying to be. And then we just don't post it. We don't do what we want to do. We close it. We postpone it. And go back to obligation before that feels safe. And then later we feel unseen and crazy. And we are not crazy for wanting to be seen. We are just an exotic bird that learned to bark because the dogs get more attention. And we got so good at barking, we forgot we can fly. The 80-year-old version of us is not going to ask how many hearts we got. She's going to ask if we dared to be the full, unedited, sometimes unsettling version of ourselves, or if we spent our whole life editing for an audience that was never going to applaud anyway. Their approval is not the scoreboard. Our aliveness is. But then we go back to a normal state and call that reality. That is not reality. That is withdrawal. Because we are not lacking passion. We are lacking direction of that passion into something real. and we keep recycling it internally and then wondering why it feels like too much. It is too much for our head, but not for our life. And there is something else we are not seeing. We trust our thoughts more than reality. We believe a feeling about how something might go instead of just doing it and seeing what actually happens. We cancel an action because of a prediction. We delay because we don't feel ready. Ready for what? For there to be no risk? That never happens. We are waiting for a version of us that can act without exposure, without consequence, and without uncertainty. And that is exactly the version that our imagination makes us crazy. So we stay where we are, thinking and underused. And thinking feels like movement because it's busy, but nothing changes. No signal, no feedback, no friction, just us watching ourselves. And here is the part that lands weird when we really see it. We like it there. Not because it feels good, but because we are in control. We can always adjust the story. We can always imagine a better version. We can always stay the person who could do something without risking finding out how we actually do it. We protect the image of ourselves instead of using ourselves. And that's why this matters. Because as long as we keep doing this, our life will always feel smaller than what we sense is possible. And so you're not crazy. You're just dangerous when used fully, and deep inside, you know it. There is a small, whiny, comfort-addicted version of you that has been running the show for years. It wants to prepare forever, wait for the perfect moment, avoid any risk of looking foolish. And if you fully unleash yourself, that version is dead. And it knows it. That's why it's pumping the brakes so hard. But here is the other casualty. The people who've gotten used to a smaller you. They build their comfort on your shrinking. Your full aliveness is a threat to anyone who's invested in a manageable version of you. When you stop being the safe one, you become a mirror, and some people can't stand what they see. That's not your problem. You are dangerous in the best possible sense. A controlled burn that clears dead undergrowth. And you are not here to be a nice, safe, hardly noticeable piece of furniture. You are here to disrupt, to break frameworks, and to make it impossible for some people to stay asleep around you. The small imaginary version of you is going to kick and scream when you kill it. But the friends who only liked you when you were playing small to make them feel comfortable, they can leave. Because the only reason why you feel crazy is because you are underused. And you are using a shrinked version of you to manage the life you don't really want. So stop acting like you're crazy because you think a lot or feel a lot. That's not the issue. The issue is you are using all of that to watch yourself instead of move in a direction in life that is precisely yours. And my final message for you is this. You don't need more insight. You already see too much. And that's part of the problem. You see so much that you think seeing replaces doing. And it doesn't. It just gives you a more sophisticated way to avoid. So if you are ready to move, and explore the exact mechanism how to find a direction in your crazy, weird life in the next 30 days, dive deeper in my book, Wanting Illusion. Link is in the description.